one of the most dominant teams in the league for the past, what decade probably. The Kansas City Chiefs. So last year, incredibly, they finished with a 15-2 record, and they went 12-0 in one-score games.
They really only had
Incredible.
one loss. They really
Right.
only had one loss all year because that Broncos game at the end of the year didn't count. So, yeah.
Just winning any way they found, like blocking field goals, last-minute drives. The Bengals not being able to, finish it off. They get the pass interference call. They get the Ravens week 1 with the toe on the end zone line. It's just like all these different ways.
Aiden O'Connell not spiking the ball quick enough.
Right. Oh my gosh. It was fascinating to watch all season. We were just waiting for them to mess up. And, outside of one game against Buffalo, who honestly have had their number during the regular season and during the Josh Allen era, it's just been a dominant crew. But the last 6 seasons, the Chiefs have 6 AFC Championship game appearances, 5 AFC titles, and 3 Super Bowls. Now, last year, even despite all those one-score games and wearing down the stretch, they were still able to make it to the Super Bowl, but they have a bitter taste coming off of that game. As despite a 15-win season, they got clobbered in the Super Bowl by the stacked Eagles roster. The 12-0 in one-score games, it really masked the injuries at wide receiver, weaknesses at left tackle, and a diminished pass rush until they were exposed by Philly in the Super Bowl. The good thing for them is that Brett Veach, the general manager, really attacked those weaknesses in the offseason. They got the addition of free agent Jalen Moore, who was under the tutelage of Trent Williams in San Francisco for many years. So they got him to come in on the offensive line. They also drafted Josh Simmons from my Ohio State Buckeyes, very versatile O-lineman. And they also had 2 picks on the defensive line. The thing that this season's going to come down to is really a return to form, or a hopeful return to form for Patrick Mahomes, who really struggled, honestly, last year behind a shaky O-line, despite being able to, come from behind a couple games and just be able to take those last-minute drives to win a couple games. They need a better season from him, and I think just a better season from the offense in general.
Yeah, the Eagles absolutely exposed their trench play. And like any good organization would do when they see that happen, what do? They go after that in the offseason. Will they be better? We don't know yet, but at least they tried. So, and that's what you like to see. When it comes to their defense, I feel like even when they're kind of down, it just always feels like Steve Spagnuolo's defense has just always come through when they're needed. Last year they were pretty good. I felt like it was definitely one of Mahomes' better defenses in his tenure there in Kansas City.
Right.
What I want to see is the fun Mahomes return. We have not seen, I almost wonder I almost think it's, like you said, the O-line may have played a factor in it, but I think since Matt Nagy returned and he's kind of been in charge of the offense, it just hasn't been as much fun Mahomes as usual. You don't see him go deep as much. The flashy passes, you don't see those too much anymore. It's kind of other than their exciting finishes, the style of play they played with, it was kind of boring for a 15-1 team last year. So I feel like, they would be more fun to watch if that kind of Mahomes returned. But if you are tired of the Kansas City spotlight they get every year, unfortunately, it will not be going away because of their 17 games. They only play 4 noon or 1 o'clock Eastern kickoffs, and they don't play one until week 7. So the first 6 weeks of the season, they have a primetime game, which I think is just hilarious. I don't mind. It's fun watching good teams, but I understand why people hate it, but I think it's kind of funny that
you put the stars on the primetime. That's just what you do.
But yeah, I think they're still Kansas City. I've seen people claim, like they've claimed every year the past few years, that this will finally be their fall-off season. That's kind of the treatment that the Patriots got in the Brady era. Oh, yep, they showed a little slip-up this past year. That means they're going to fall off this next year. Then, they're inevitable. So I would be shocked if they – I highly, highly doubt they'll go 15-1 again. There's no way they're going to have that kind of luck again, but I still see this as a solid, solid team who will always be there until Mahomes is retired.
Yeah, it was the same thing like you said with the Patriots. As long as Brady and Belichick were there, they weren't going away. And as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are in Kansas City, they're not going to go away. Um, the defense for me, it was interesting last year because they ranked fourth in scoring while sitting in the middle of the pack in turnovers and sacks. So obviously Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. He probably knows that. He probably knows they're middle of the pack in those spots and has emphasized that. And if they get a few more turnovers, they won't have to be in so many close games because I feel like that really wore them down over the season because there should have been more games where they could have rested some of their high-end starters towards the end of games, and they just never could because it was always these 15-16, 17-20 battles where it was playoff feel, playoff intensity almost every game during the regular season, and I feel like that was another case why they were just out of gas by Super Bowl.
Yeah, not just against good teams, as against bad teams too.
Right.
That Panthers game came down to the wire. Like I said, the Aiden O'Connell game, the Raiders had a chance to kick a field goal to win that game at Kansas City. So yeah, they played down to a lot of their opponents, but they always routinely showed up against their great opponents. I mean, they lost to Buffalo, but that was still a good game. Yeah, if they, like I said, 15-1, they were definitely. I mean, I don't think there's any debate. I mean, 50. I'm going to say 15-1 because that last loss at the end of the year didn't count, and because there used to be 16 games in most seasons. By far the worst 15-1 team probably that's ever gone 15-1. Oh yeah, and they're inevitable, and anyone who's hoping on their downfall, they're going to have to wait probably a few more years.
A few more years. They're over under sitting at 11.5. What are you leaning towards here?
I have them at 12 wins, so I'll take the over.
Me too. I had them around that 12-13 range. Just looking at their schedule, even if they split some of those series in their division, there's really a lot of winnable games on this schedule, and just the inevitableness of down towards the end of a game. I wouldn't bet against the Chiefs in a close game. Yeah, I definitely have them at over 11.5 here. But finally, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, who last year finished 4-13. Just another year like they've had for the past since I've been alive, I guess, since I've been watching football.
They have not won a playoff game since 2002.
Okay.
They've only had one winning season in the last 5 years.
Right. So there you go. So it's been kind of just the same pit of despair for the Raiders fan base, whether it was in Oakland or it's now in Vegas. But I think now things are finally looking up. They're under their fourth new regime in 5 years, but this one I really, really like because they've got Pete Carroll. Even if he's only with the team for a few years, he'll be a guy that can change a culture the way that Harbaugh did in LA. They've got John Spytek at general manager, who's one of the most intelligent businessmen, can make really good deals from that spot. And then not just that, but Mark Davis brought in Tom Brady to make a lot of top line decisions for this franchise. And if you're trying to turn things around, that's the group you want. Carroll made a lot of moves. He got his old quarterback in Geno Smith from Seattle. Like I said at the top of this preview, Smith is not a guy that's going to just carry you to a Super Bowl or anything like that, but he is a guy that has a very high floor that from the jump lifts the floor of what this team can do. They also drafted Ashton Genty, who's one of the most fun and interesting prospects coming into this new season. He had an amazing run there last year with Boise State, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the NFL. And they picked up a lot of other good prospects in the draft as well. But what are your feelings on the Raiders coming into this season with this new regime and the moves that they made?
I like the moves. Unfortunately, they're just in the wrong division.
Right. Yeah.
Which is worrisome because, like you said, Pete Carroll's old, and you don't really expect him to be there for that long. I mean, you're just going to have to hope that at least one, more than likely you need two of the other three teams in the division to have a fall off during Pete Carroll's time. which could happen, but with young quarterbacks and Mahomes and Reed, it seems unlikely. I do think this offense could be fun to watch with Smith, who's not going to lose you too many games, plus Genty, plus Brock Bowers, who was one of the more dynamic rookies last year. Yeah, they're going to upset some teams, I feel like, this year. They started off 2-2 last year. Remember they beat Baltimore in week 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that made no sense at all. But then they lost 10 in a row. So I do not like their defense. Outside of Max Crosby, I don't think this defense is very good at all. Very inexperienced. Let's not say that could be good in a couple of years, but in a division with Mahomes and Herbert and Sean Payton-led Broncos team, it's not, you're playing with fire there, having kind of an inexperienced defense. So they're not going to be near as bad as last year. If you put them in either of the South divisions, AFC or NFC, I feel like you could have a conversation of them winning the division. I don't think they would be favored, but you could realistically see it happen. Here, there's just no chance. All the cards are stacked against them.
Yeah, there's no inkling in my mind that this is like a Super Bowl contending team, even a playoff contending team. This is still a few years off of what they could be. But this is a year that that Raiders fans should get excited about, at least seeing some of these young prospects like Genty, like Bowers. Obviously, Max Crosby is one of the best defensive ends in the league, and he's going to be entertaining on the field. And then Geno Smith is probably going to be the best quarterback they've had since who?
Since Derek Carr, that 1 year he got some MVP votes.
Right.
15 or 16, whatever, 2016.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's stability there now. And Smith could be the quarterback for a few years here and with the Raiders. So he immediately lifts the floor of the QB room. I mean, it's not Aiden O'Connell anymore as your starter. Yeah. I just think there's a lot more excitement around this team. It's not going to translate to a bunch of wins and a division title or anything like that. But I think this is all about a year of like seeing what you have and looking towards the future. That's what I look at with this Raiders team, and it could be a lot of fun just to watch on the 1:00 slate. Whoever they're playing, you could see some really cool things happen. But with this line, what are you seeing for the line?
One more thing to point out: they lost Christian Wilkinson. That leaves a massive hole in the defensive tackle. Unfortunately, he was a pretty affectionate guy based off reports today. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Apparently some players aren't comfortable with him kissing the tops of their heads,
right.
Which I thought was a troll headline, but it was actually real. I don't. Nothing wrong with giving a kiss to the top of the head to the fellas, as long as you say no homo. So that's what the issue is.
Yeah. So I see the line is sitting at 7.5 for this team.
Oh, I had it 6.5, and
that's 6.5.
I wasn't. That was a stay away from me. If it's 7.5, that's for sure under for me.
Yeah. It's minus 170. I'm seeing on FanDuel for under 7.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no. I'm not gonna predict this team's gonna have a winning record or anything like that. So I would go under just on any line. It's going to be a fun team to watch, but they're not going to win a ton of games.
No. I will say one thing I will point out. You mentioned Tom Brady. You say that is a guy you want in the room. Unfortunately, well, I'm not going to say unfortunately yet, but if you look at the other GOAT in the other sport, Michael Jordan, his tenure with the Charlotte Hornets with the Charlotte Hornets was pretty pitiful. So just a fair warning, just because you're the GOAT playing does not necessarily mean you can be a great front office guy.
I think he's done some good things already with them, but we'll see what happens given his, give it a few more years and we'll see what he's able to do with the franchise. But
I guess he's still announcing games this year, right?
Yeah, that was a bit of a topic of discussion over last season with, how is he going to be able to like interview teams to get inside scoops, to be able to report and say things on air, how that conflicts with his position with the Raiders. We'll see if that continues on or what kind of, what things Roger Goodell is going to try to put on him to make it harder for him to run things with the Raiders. So we'll see what happens there.